he's been the unguardable player for the Denver Nuggets. If he can be dominant, the Clippers will be getting eliminated tonight.
The Nuggets are just so good with their backs against the wall. Let's just think back a couple of weeks ago. I had them written off as losing to the Jazz. I was like, oh, they're definitely going to lose to the Jazz. This is an insurmountable lead in a 7-game series. And what'd they do? Stretch it to 7 and then won. And then
I had them,
when it was 3-1, I had them definitely losing to the Clippers. There's no way they can come back and force a Game 7 and win a Game 7 against the Clippers. But as you said, right now, I'd put them at even odds to win tonight. And a lot of that has to do with what the Clippers aren't getting from two of their key contributors, and that is Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams. During the entire season, that was their key to success. Oh, you putting your second team out? We're going to put our second team out, and our second team is dominant and all-star potential level players. But look at what they got in the regular season. Just under 40 points a game from them. First round versus Dallas, 25 points a game from those two. Conference semifinals versus Denver in this series, just 20 points. That's 20 points combined. That's about 2 points away from Montrezl Harrell's average per game in the regular season. And it's not just that end of the floor, which they are not performing. It's also the defensive end of the floor. Harrell just can't do anything to the stretch mark 5. The stretch mark 5 just eats up Harrell every time that he is guarding him. And they're finding Lou Williams on pick and rolls, on switches, and just abusing him on the defensive end as well. Jalen, can these two turn it around and play like they have played all year before the bubble?
They're going to need to, and I'm not going to pick the Nuggets to win, even though we've been driving that bandwagon the last couple of years. I'm going to give respect to Kawhi Leonard, Paul George, and Doc Rivers and his staff. I believe they'll find a way to get it done, even if Montrez and Lou struggles. But that's what I love about the playoffs. You have to play different styles in order to advance. And these are two offensively driven players, but they're getting taken advantage of on the other end.
Jalen, can I do the media thing and take a hypothetical way too far? Okay? I don't think the Clippers are going to lose either. But let's imagine that they do, okay? They lose. They go home. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard have a conversation. They say, you know what? We've only got 1 year left on our contracts, and then we have player options. And you know what? I didn't really like what happened with the supporting cast in the bubble. And Doc Rivers made some very questionable decisions as our head coach. Do you think the two of them could get together and say, you know what? Maybe we're not long for the Clippers here. Maybe they start slow next year. Maybe the two of them say, you know what? Maybe we take our talents and take them somewhere else. Could you see those be the reverberations of a loss tonight in Game 7?
Not at all. Not at all. Because they're both from Southern California, and they are where they want to be. And I think their goals are still in front of them, even if they don't get it done this year. Doc Rivers is still one of the best coaches in the game. Steve Ballmer is still one of the greatest owners in sports. They haven't even moved into their own facility yet, Jacoby, and have a chance to win a championship. So in a lot of ways, they're ahead of the curve as it relates to their progression. But man, it would be really humbling for the Clippers and their fans if they got bounced by the Denver Nuggets, if they had to watch the Lakers not only go on to win the West, but to win it all, especially being that they were the team that were supposed to upend their crosstown rival. They play in the same building.
It's time.
Give the people what they want.
The people want a Game 7. They got that tonight. The people want Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. They got that tonight. The people wanted 2 Monday Night Football games. They got that last night. And that is where we start with Big Ben is back. He returned to the field after elbow surgery and didn't miss a beat. Him and Juju Smith-Schuster connected time and time again, as you see right here. Jalen, did last night's performance convince you that they're a contender in the AFC?
It didn't convince me that they're a contender, Jacoby. First, I want to celebrate Big Ben being back, the future Hall of Famer. It was great to see him back in the lineup. My Rock Nation brother, Juju Smith. Great to see him in the end zone. Washington being physical at the goal line, getting into the end zone. They had a 100-yard rusher, and we know their defense is ferocious. But can Big Ben really stay healthy, Jacoby, as we break down this team? And I want to get enthusiastic, and I want to say that their defense can carry them to a Super Bowl contending season. And then I think of the other teams in the AFC. And I'm like, Patrick Mahomes is really good. And they got weapons. The Ravens are really good. And they got weapons. You got to score to beat those teams. And
Yep.
I'm just not sure that the Pittsburgh Steelers, based on this style of great coaching, really disciplined offense, low turnovers, smash mouth football, can actually win a Super Bowl in a modern day era where people just throwing the football all around a lot every game.
It was encouraging to see them win, but it was a little discouraging to see Big Ben limping around the field and James Conner go down. And Big Ben had a run for 11 yards, which I can't even call a run. I'm going to call it like a jog for 11 yards. But that 11 yards was more than Saquon Barkley gained from the line of scrimmage all day long. Now, you have to give a lot of credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, but the Giants offensive line did not just not give him a hole. He was touched behind the line of scrimmage, I think 8 times before he even got a chance to turn upfield. It was a very tough day for Saquon Barkley and made me feel like this Giants team is as bad as we thought they would be, and nothing demonstrates that more than Daniel Jones on this play. Watch this play from Daniel Jones. He just marched them down the field on a 19-play drive. 90 yards. He drops back, throws the ball up, and there's 5 Pittsburgh Steelers there that could have intercepted the pass. Not one. Watch it when they stop this right here. There's 5 Pittsburgh Steelers that could have intercepted that pass. Jalen, this is really bad for the Giants. Just how bad do you think it will be this season?
Well, all I know is you have a couple of good games and the media give you a nickname. Remember that? Ryan Fitzpatrick, he can put on Deshaun Jackson's clothes and we think it's cute. What happened to your guy Danny Dimes, Jacoby? What happened?
Danny Penny.
You tell me.
Danny
what
Penny.
happened?
It was Danny one dime. He had one good throw the entire game. In the first drive, the second drive was like, oh, look at that. Touchdown throw Slade. Maybe he really is Danny Dimes. He is not Danny Dimes.
Like I told y'all, somebody photoshopped this for me. The 2 quarterbacks in New York City for the Jets and Giants resemble more like people that were in happy days than people that are going to lead those teams to the Super Bowl. The way they have not been taking care of the football. New Yorkers deserve so much better. Oh my goodness, these guys have to improve what they're doing under center.
The Jets and Giants are absolutely terrible. Now, there's also another game, the second game in the Monday Night Football doubleheader, between a team that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl in the Tennessee Titans. But let me tell you something. Certainly didn't look like a team that was 1 game away from the Super Bowl. Now, while Derrick Henry did run for over 100 yards, it just didn't feel like a team that was poised to make a run this season. Tannehill didn't look great. Derrick Henry looked all right. The receiving core dropped some passes. Jalen, there's a lot of discussion today about the kicker, but I just wanted to point out that it wasn't just the kicker that got this team in trouble. But let's turn our eyes to Gostkowski. What did you see from him? Tell us the tale of late night Gostkowski.
This fella is literally costing his team opportunities to win football games. How you gonna miss 2 field goals and an extra point? So here's my plea. There are a lot of people, black athletes, that want to play in the NFL. I plead to you, practice kicking. I watch the league every week and never see kickers that look like us. Go after those jobs. You saw what Tiger did in golf? He went after it. Venus and Serena in tennis, they went after it. Those are jobs. Go take them. Gostkowski and got bailed out late. Denver didn't even call a timeout, Jacoby. They could have put more pressure on him if they made him kick it faster. They didn't even put pressure on him.
I think Vic Fangio thinks that timeouts work like rollover minutes on a cell phone plan, that he can just like have 5 timeouts next week in the first half of their week 2 game, because there was just no reason not to call a timeout there. And when he was trying to explain it, he's like, well, Derrick Henry ran out of bounds and then they threw an incomplete pass. So obviously I didn't need to use those. It was just like, my guy, you had plenty of opportunities to call timeouts when they were clearly in field goal range. to save your offense a little bit of time to maybe respond with a field goal of their own, and they did not. Gostkowski somehow is a hero by going 1 for 4 on field goals and missing an extra point. Again, missed 3 field goals and an extra point, and somehow still walks away as the hero. Jalen?
More feet looking like this doing that job.
We do not. We do not. I am so glad they're not showing your feet on television right now because our ratings would immediately plummet. We don't. We really don't.
Like
Please cut away from that.
Kicking in the NFL.
Well, that wraps up week 1 in the NFL, but now we turn our attention to the NBA, and we have a game 7 tonight between the Nuggets and the Clippers. A lot of people picked the Clippers to win the championship, and here they are in a game 7 against the Nuggets. How can the Nuggets pull off an upset this evening?
Stretch, mark, 5, dominance. That's how they can get it done. I can look deeper into the box score and talk about the role players like Craig, Gary Harris. And yes, Murray needs to be spectacular. But I voted that guy first team All-NBA the last 2 years, the Joker. And while Millsap is going to give him